If you guys have been online for a while, you might have bumped into this something called RCTA, which sounds kinda like some cringy anti-bullying program at your school, or an acronym for a psychiatric condition. For those of you who thought it was some kind of mental condition, you're only 1 nanometer away from knowing the truth. So basically, RCTA stands for Race Change to Another, and it's an online community filled with insecure degenerates who literally think they could change their ethnicity into something else while listening to some random audio, which are just affirmations covered with white noise, or say weird shit at the mirror like I'm gonna be Japanese, or try to learn a language from their desired race, which isn't a bad thing, but 100% it will never ever, even after a Googleplex years, will turn you into a Japanese person. And what's even more insane is that there are people out there so brainwashed that they even pay for surgery just to look like their desired race. For example, Ollie London, who's some British wannabe K-pop idol, and also a full-ass Reddit community out there filled with these delusional victims. I just discovered it recently. It's called r/transracial. But to brighten this a little, these videos relating to the transracial or RCTA get so much hate comments that are complaining about how racist it is. You're never gonna be your desired race, and it's also really cringy. And these videos actually do deserve such comments, because this shit is actually so racist and delusional, which is what I'm gonna explain later. So this community is extremely racist. I know a lot of people say that RCTA ain't gonna harm or kill anyone, but this community encourages people to reject their own culture and nationality. For example, one person who's English has experience of some traditions and cultures, but then this poor kid gets exposed to some cool Japanese animation, which motivates them to be like, oh, now I'm gonna become Japanese. So then he joins some RCTA community online and is now given advice on how to become Japanese. This advice is usually wear cultural clothing from your desired race, eat food from your desired race, which isn't a bad thing because he's educating and experiencing different cultures, but he intends to replace that with his own culture and everything he currently knows about. He aims to forget about his own culture, which literally shows that RCTA is racist, as it encourages people to forget their own culture intentionally. But racism isn't really a big issue in this community compared to the next one, which is how the people in this community are extremely delusional. For example, there are videos on TikTok that give RCTA advice, and this advice is extremely nonsensical because, for example, in this video, this one states that pulling your eyes can make you Asian. Firstly, it doesn't do anything to your eyes, and secondly, getting monolids requires surgery. However, that won't make you Asian in anywhere, not even after 1 billion years, because we all know that race depends on your genetics. It will never depend on the way you look, or the languages you speak, the food you eat. It's just 100% genetics. If you do not have any Japanese DNA, you are not Japanese and you can never be Japanese. Because there will never, not even after 1 billion years, will be a way to alter your DNA into your desired race. But sadly, there are people out there who really hate knowing the truth and waste so much money by making themselves look like their desired race. It's kind of stupid, and it's also really sad because they're so focused and engrossed in believing in something that isn't true. There's so many communities out there with extremely delusional people, but it's just so sad how people just won't stop believing. For RCTA, a lot of people in this community are female incels, and a lot will say they will just grow out of it, but there are fully grown adults that still believe in this shit. A really notable one is Ollie London, who started working as an English teacher in Seoul in 2013, but then got a little too obsessed with Korean culture and became one of the most hated people in the internet. But luckily in 2022, he promised that he wouldn't do any of these stupid surgeries, and he also converted to Christianity, which is a good thing. But just imagine 2013 Ollie London looking at his current image of himself. He'd be really sad. And also, Ollie London isn't the only victim. There's a Florida man named Jadu who identifies as a Filipino video. In a video where he mentions why he decides to become a transracial, he says that he felt more connected to Filipino culture and it seemed to interest him, which isn't wrong because showing interest to a specific culture is normal. However, what's extremely wrong about this is that he identifies himself as a Filipino. even though he's fully white, which is delusional behavior. But not only it's delusional, but it's also racist. He clearly isn't embracing his true white self. You don't need to be a full-on nationalist, but you should respect your race and culture and at least embrace it. This dude is not doing any of these. He's full-on identifying as a Filipino woman. Another issue with this community that no one talks about is how this community fetishizes cultures and races. Basically, in this context, fetishization means to associate a complex culture to a set of exotic stereotypes for fascination. So an example could be that one could become Japanese because they think anime is so cool. And from that belief, the person who is trying to become Japanese starts to associate Japan with anime only, which is actually kind of sad because Japan has a lot of other things such as food, ceremonies and history than just anime. And soon, this idea of Japan being associated with anime will spread everywhere around the world, making people forget about what Japan is actually like. Also, this community isn't always aimed at people wanting to become Japanese, but people also want to be Chinese, Korean, and most of the East Asian types. A community that rejects people to forget and reject their own culture, promoting delusionality and also fetishizing cultures. This community deserves to be banned. If you think that the victims will grow out of it, well, there are older men out there who still believe in this, and some still didn't quit. Also, this community makes and helps us become much less of ourselves and more delusional. And if this delusionality gets too far, society would collapse. We will eventually get more far away from the truth, our own culture, and become less of ourselves. So how are we gonna end this community? A unique thing about this community is that they use subliminals to achieve these results. So what are subliminals? So basically, subliminals are audios that can be used to manifest things. They contain affirmations which can be heard in a subconscious level. These audios are meant to change one's mindset and make them do specific things. Well, if you guys think I'm crazy for this, well, there are a shit ton of articles that prove that it actually works. And also, it's banned in some places because it can be used for advertising products. So how are we going to use subliminals to end this? Subliminals aren't the best at physically changing your appearance, but they're very good at changing people's mindsets. So through our affirmations, this means that we could add affirmations saying that I will stop being RCTA, causing one's mindset to become anti-RCTA. Well, how are we going to get people to part of the RCTA community to listen to this? This will sound like kind of manipulative and immoral, but we could fake those subliminals as RCTA subliminals, when in reality they just contain anti-RCTA affirmations. This is manipulative, but it will do good because it will help people's mindset to be changed more positively and stop being delusional and become more attached to reality. Well, that's just my idea to end the community, and if you have other ideas, go to our Discord server and suggest, because we are doing this for a good cause and we do not know if our idea is going to be successful or not. So guys, comment down on the video and hope to see you next time.